Good morning. Are we all awake? Before we start, I want everyone to just do a couple really deep breaths so we can kind of get settled in. It's good to be together. Today, my words are and thoughts are taken from a couple books I've read of Brené Brown. Belonging so fully to yourself that you're willing to stand alone is a wilderness, an untamed, unpredictable place of solitude and searching. It is a place as dangerous as it is breathtaking, a place as sought after as it is feared. The wilderness can often feel unholy because we cannot control it, or what people think about our choice of whether to venture into that vastness or not. But it turns out to be the place of true belonging, and it's the bravest and most sacred place you will ever stand. Today, we are not in the wilderness. Today, we can rest. Today, we can stand side by side. We are strong. Take courage and strength from those in our midst. Thank you for your willingness to show up and let yourself be fully seen and known. We are the authors of our lives. We write our own daring endings. We craft love from heartbreak, compassion from shame, grace from disappointment, and courage from failure. Showing up is our power. Story is our way home. Truth is our song. We are the brave and brokenhearted. We are rising strong.
Muy bien. Ahora tengo el placer de presentarles a Cristina Moraes. Cristina es miembro de Affirmation Brasil y miembro de como en calidad de presidente, y es miembro de la junta directiva de nuestra organización.
Now it is my pleasure to introduce Cristina Moraes to you. Cristina is the President of Affirmation in Brazil and a member of the Affirmation Board of Directors.
Cristina ha estado casada por espacio de 12 años con Viviane Moraes.
Cristina has been married for 12 years to Viviane Moraes.
Ella posee un posgrado en ingeniería de calidad y ha sido misionero, fue misionero de la Iglesia de Jesucristo.
She is a postgraduate in quality engineering and a returned missionary from the LDS Church.
Ella reconoce la expiación del Salvador en su vida.
She acknowledges the Saviour's atonement in her life.
Tiene autoaceptación como lesbiana.
And she has self-acceptance as a lesbian.
Cristina cree en el trabajo de afirmación como un rescate de vidas.
Cristina believes in the work of affirmation as a ransom of lives.
Actualmente está dedicada a los principios de este trabajo de amor.
Currently, she is completely dedicated to the principles of this work of love.
Con ustedes, Cristina Moraes.
We present to you Cristina Moraes.
Bom dia.
Good morning.
É uma alegria muito grande poder estar aqui.
It is a great pleasure for me to be here with you.
E eu agradeço a oportunidade de falar um pouco a respeito do trabalho da afirmação no Brasil.
I'm very thankful for the opportunity to talk to you about the job that we're doing in Brazil with affirmation.
Eu passei muitas lutas em minha vida. Todos os sofrimentos que eu carreguei em meus ombros, eu aprendi algumas coisas muito importantes que fortaleceram e me ajudaram a ter uma autoaceitação.
All the struggle and suffering I have had to live through in my life have taught me quite a few things, in addition to making me stronger and helping me accept myself for who I am.
Eu aprendi que o sol nasce todos os dias e é incrível, mas verdadeiramente o sol nasce todos os dias.
The lesson I learned was that the sun rises every day. It is amazing, but it is true. The sun does rise every day.
Mesmo que você acorde o dia e ele esteja nublado, eu posso garantir que o sol nasce todos os dias. E tem dias que acordamos, mas não temos vontade de brilhar. Mas é nossa responsabilidade fazer o sol brilhar nos nossos corações e nos corações das pessoas que somos responsáveis.
Even when you wake up and the skies look overcast, I can assure you the sun rises every day. There are days in which we wake up in the morning missing the will to shine. However, it is our responsibility to make sure the sun is shining in our hearts and in the hearts of those around us for whom we are responsible.
Nós não estamos neste mundo por nada. Nós temos um privilégio de nascer LGBT e liderar e lutar por essa causa.
Our time here has a purpose. We were born LGBT. We were born to lead and fight for this cause, and that is our privilege.
Vivemos em tempos que apenas grandes guerreiros possuem vitórias fabulosas. Estamos agora enfileirados e determinados.
We are living in an era in which only the strongest warriors are able to accomplish fabulous victories. We are here, now, aligned and determined.
Cheios de uma causa e objetivo a ser alcançado. Todos nós possuímos força, coragem e valores.
We have a cause to fight for and goals to reach. We, all of us, are strong, brave and worthy.
Mesmo que possuímos parte menor ou maior de nossa herança mórmon, todos nós estamos lutando por um lugar ao sol. Pois o sol nasce para todos, todos os dias, e é uma oportunidade de fazer algo bom na vida de cada pessoa.
Some may have a bit more and some may have a bit less of a Mormon heritage, but we are all fighting for a place in the sun. And the sun rises every day, and every day we have an opportunity to do something good.
Estamos lutando há muito tempo com nossas guerras interiores para adquirir nossa autoaceitação.
We have for a long time been fighting our own inner struggle for self-acceptance.
Muitos de nós já possuímos uma armadura que recebemos por meio de nossas conquistas pessoais e dos princípios da afirmação, já nos transformando em guerreiros de grande poder.
Anchored in our personal achievements and in affirmation's principles, many of us have developed more than a thick skin. We are fully armored. We have already become powerful warriors.
Estamos crescendo grandes e fortes para o mundo, porque queremos uma oportunidade para mostrar os valores e a luz que possuindo, sendo um LGBT ou um LGBT Mormon.
We are going bigger and stronger before the world and for the world, because we want to have the opportunity to prove that we are worthy and enlightened as members of the LGBT community and as members of the LGBT Mormon community.
O Brasil possui um território muito grande. Estamos trabalhando para encontrar todos os mormons LGBT que estão em estado de vulnerabilidade espiritual.
Brazil is a very large country, and we are working hard to find all the LGBT Mormons who are living through a current state of spiritual vulnerability.
Temos um país que possuímos algumas conquistas.
Ballroom Dance Company.
En 2007 se unió a Pixar Animation Studios,
In 2007, he joined Pixar Animation Studios,
donde disfruta trabajando en películas galardonadas por la academia como Up, Bravo, Inside Out y Coco.
where he enjoys working on Academy Award-winning films like Up, Brave, Inside Out, and Coco.
Con ustedes, Emron Grover.
We present you Emron Grover.
Hi, everybody. Can you hear me? I have to lean over a little, I think. And my setup's a little complicated, so forgive me if I get out of sync. We've got to push a bunch of buttons here. All right. So, this is my first time at an Affirmation conference. I'm excited to be here with you all, speaking especially. It's obviously a little nerve-wracking, but I do enjoy public speaking, so a little bit at home. I'm from Oakland, California. Obviously grew up here in Draper, but my husband, Brian, is at home with our two adopted sons, Wyatt and Walker. They're 4 and 6. I'll tell you a little bit about myself. I'm a tech nerd and an artist all wrapped into one. As was mentioned before, I've been at Pixar for 11 years, and I've been lucky enough to work on 5 Academy Award-winning films: Up, Brave, Toy Story 3, Inside Out, and most recently, Coco. Has anybody seen those movies? So at Pixar, I am the head of the clothing department. So we build all the clothing that the characters wear. So for example, if you've seen Coco, myself and my team, we built all the clothing for the skeletons. We had to figure out how skeletons would be clothed, also the humans. You don't know me yet, but it's a big step for me. I've walked in pride parades, I've been there, I've done that, but I've never hadn't really verbalized until recently that I'm truly proud of who I am. And I know I'm here speaking to you, and maybe you think that I've figured it all out. I haven't, and I still haven't fully reconciled the internal religious dilemma that I'm in. Am I happy? That's a question I ask myself all the time. But I want to give you a little background about me. So I grew up, again, here in Draper, Utah, on a little farm. It wasn't really a farm. I called it a pseudo-farm. We didn't use it for any monetary support. My dad was a farmer growing up, and he just loved the idea of animals and stuff. So we had a bunch of horses and rabbits and chickens and all sorts of things. We even raised wolves for a while. So the picture on the left is obviously my childhood home, which doesn't exist anymore, sadly. And on the right is from my front porch, and it looks into Corner Canyon, where the Draper Temple now is, before all those houses and everything were there. This was kind of my free-range playground as a kid. So I come from a typical large Mormon family, 8 siblings. I'm third of 8. I have 6 sisters and 1 younger brother. I was probably about 16 in this. I'm there on the, sorry. Again, I'm out of sync. This is my family. I'm there on the left in the middle. And for me, family was everything as a kid. I remember at one point I wanted 10 kids of my own, kind of crazy, can't imagine it. But we were a very conservative family, the type that didn't drink caffeinated drinks and rarely missed family home evening. And it was really just kind of, I felt like it was like a perfect childhood and a perfect family. I'm obsessed with soccer and traveling. So this photo is in South Africa. Actually, it's in Zambia. When I was at the World Cup in 2010, I went to South Africa to visit. This was in Zambia by Victoria Falls, and I went with a good friend and coworker there. And in this particular day, we found a local that took us to a little village, and we were invited to a house and helped make dinner on the dirt floor, and then we played soccer with all the kids in the neighborhood. Unfortunately, the day after I got home from the World Cup in South Africa, I had a soccer game and I tore my ACL. And that was very sad. And I haven't really been playing since then, but I've kind of put my passion into spectating, and I'm a big fan. I follow my local club, my local MLS soccer club, the San Jose Earthquakes, quite religiously. I love computers. This photo was in my apartment at BYU, probably 13 years ago. I'm a pretty nerdy, and I love technology of all kinds. Recently, I've been kind of obsessed with the blockchain cryptocurrency craze going on right now, so I'm into all sorts of stuff like that. I'm also love video games, and I'm extremely competitive in those and other things. But don't let my obsession with sports and tech fool you. I still have my stereotypical gay side. I was a dancer, a Latin ballroom dancer. So the photo on the left was in Tahiti with the BYU Ballroom Dance Company. It was kind of an impromptu performance on the street in front of the McDonald's in Papeete. I don't know where the little piece of linoleum that we danced on came from, but that is me with my best friend. We had a little dance-off section in a cha-cha routine that we did with the group. I was able to travel the world, which kind of just added to my love for traveling. We toured all over Europe, Eastern, Western, South Pacific, New Zealand, Australia, all over. Thank you. So I was also, on the right, very serious into dance competitions. So I had a partner, and again, I was very competitive. This was my partner, Natalie, and this was at a national championship. So at the time, we were ranked in the top 10 in the US. Did I say I love traveling? I also love animals, especially as a kid. When I was younger, I wanted to be a zoologist or an artist, one of the two. I've been on safaris and cage diving, and these with great whites. These pictures are all over the world. In Madagascar, Brazil, I went to the World Cup in Brazil as well. So there's a picture of me with a little caiman we caught in the Amazon, Australia, South Africa, all over. My next trip, at some point when the kids get older, I need to do a tiger safari in India. That's on the plan. I also love reading, kind of. Kind of a joke, actually. This is a Book of Mormon. This was the Book of Mormon my parents gave me when I was 8. I took this picture just the other day. I did love reading it as a kid, but I have a little piece of animation here. It's amazing. There you go. Just kidding. So there's a part in the Book of Mormon, in this Book of Mormon in particular, there's a part in the end of 1st Nephi, specifically chapter 19, where me as an 8-year-old artist in the middle of sacrament meeting made this. Maybe it will start up. I'm not sure if it's going to go. Whoa. I'm not sure what's going on. Hang on. Wow. It's supposed to be sideways. You can kind of see it there. I'm not sure what's going on. Sorry. But I made this little animation in church. A little stick man. I'll skip that. But it's actually that was my first animation that I ever remember doing in this Book of Mormon, which I had forever. It's still looping, apparently. But it's actually kind of symbolic for me that it's in the Book of Mormon. It's this person, this man, and it's kind of endlessly going over this hurdle, which is a lot like my journey as a gay Mormon, endless hurdles. And of course, it's animation, which played a significant part in my life. Today, I'm going to share my coming out story, which is really my journey toward happiness, I guess. So, oops, let me go back. There we go. We're in sync. So at age 10, around the time of this photo, I was in that purple soccer uniform. My team was called the Grape Crushers. There was a boy on my soccer team. His name was Greg, and I remember I really wanted to be friends with him. I was 10, and looking back, I would say it was my first crush, though I didn't realize it at the time. But I remember often laying in bed at night and trying to think about him before I would fall asleep, so I'd have dreams about him. And I remember it being naively exhilarating, and it made me happy, and it was kind of magical, but it didn't really make sense, and I didn't really realize what it all meant. But I can't really remember at what age I realized I was actually attracted to men. It was probably not long after this. But those fleeting moments of happiness I felt were quickly clouded over as my mind kind of weighed between these feelings and religion. I was afraid. I was afraid of God. I was afraid that somebody knew, and that somebody, most importantly, would find out. And I was afraid of myself, and so I hid and I lied. I kind of coasted through the awkward, as you can see here, awkward teenage years, high school and into college at BYU. I really denied my innermost feelings and truly believed that if I was good enough, that I would be made normal. The hardest things for me in these years were expectations. So especially from my mother. I grew up with my mom telling me that before I was born and after I was born, she had a vision that I was going to be special, that I was supposed to come at a certain time, I was going to be important, and God had high expectations of the man I would become. And I heard this a lot. And the weight placed upon me was strong, and this idea was a massive influence in a lot of what I did growing up. And it's also what made me hide and shove it all away. So it was during my teenage years that I brushed it all aside, and I really religiously overcompensated from the outside. But deep inside, every prayer and every New Year's resolution was the same: to make me normal and to help me stop having bad thoughts. Every single year and every single prayer. So this photo is at the Denver temple. It was the day I went to the temple just before my mission, and I was really excited to go on a mission, but I really felt down on myself because I didn't think I was worthy. I think in general, I was quite disgusted by my own feelings at this point, thoughts, actions, but my mother's expectations, as well as the ability my parents had in instilling in me a lot of self-confidence, really helped me set those aside, and I promised that I would dedicate my mission to God. And if I worked really hard, then He would make me all better. I truly believed this. I still didn't really know anybody that was gay, and I was doing it all on my own. I served in the Czech Republic, as you heard. I gave everything. I worked so hard in an extremely difficult place. I had an amazing mission, not in terms of its success. It was a difficult place, but I was so good on my mission, and afterward I believed I was going to make it. I had a lot of hope. It propped me up for quite a few years afterward, but eventually I couldn't overpower who I really was. And at the time, I did actually have one relationship with a girl during those years, which I ended up breaking off when things were getting serious. I was still kind of clouded by the desire to be normal, but luckily at the time had the state of mind to not go through with that. Looking back on my spiritual life, I really missed out on what the gospel's all about. It's about the small things. It's about love, helping others, being truthful and good. I still went to church, but I was constantly putting myself into a situation where I felt less than, and where every thought or scripture or word that I heard at church was translated in my brain as, I'm the bad guy, or, oh, if I just do this, I might not be gay anymore. I didn't pray about the simple things. It was always the same, and it was never answered. I was alone in my struggle, and my faith sadly eroded over time. This is me at Pixar, one of my first days there. I put a lot of energy into dance and animation at BYU. When I graduated, I had the opportunity to either be a professional dancer. I also had a full-time job offer from DreamWorks Animation in LA, and I had an internship offer at Pixar. I knew I wanted to go to Pixar, but I was really afraid of gay San Francisco. So it took me actually a while to make that decision. I was still trying on the outside, but a lot of my faith had been lost at this point. I ultimately made the best decision to follow my dream and move to the Bay Area and Pixar. So after a couple years, I had taken a couple trips into San Francisco and met a few people. I secretly dated 2 guys. And the first relationship I ended after only a month, but the second we dated for 6 months. He lived in the Castro, and being with him kind of opened my eyes to people and places and thoughts and feelings and just a small sense of living genuinely. Also helped me understand who I was and what I needed. The biggest battles I faced were giving up on having my own family, letting down parents and family, and judging relationships with them. This is my coming out photo. It's really the only one I have around the day I came out. I was 26, I think. I was finally pushed to the edge. It was the day my boyfriend broke up with me. I was kind of, distraught, crying, kind of in the depths of my despair and sadness. And it was that same night that I called my dad and came out to him. I had finally gotten to the point that living genuinely and free from lies was more important than all the things I had been taught were important, even family, and I was willing to sacrifice them all to be me. One of the hardest things I ever have done was to come out to my mother. These are my parents. The weight of her expectations and her grand plan for me were so strong. I know she loved me so much, but I still was scared that it would be too much for her. I was lucky that despite her conservatism, her love for me was stronger. It's been a long journey, but when I see this photo, I remember that my parents felt joy on the day, and this was my wedding. So, a few years ago, I was lucky enough to work on an amazing film called Inside Out. This is a little still frame from that. There's a beautiful moment at the beginning of this film where you see Riley, the main character in the film. Her name's Riley, and she's a little baby, fresh into the world, and you zoom into her mind, and you meet her emotions, and you first meet joy. It brings to mind the idea, men are that they might have joy. I remember being so happy as a child. Again, I said my family was perfect. Everything was perfect, and my life seemed so effortless. But in the film, you quickly meet new emotions, and like fear and sadness, disgust, and these emotions drive this character's thoughts and feelings throughout the film. Childhood is all about learning about and how to deal with new complex emotions. But to me, the emotions put on us, LDS, LGBT children, are needlessly more complex and heavy. And, just as in my first crush story, my initial reaction to this first boy crush was joy, I also had fear not long after that. So this is the character Fear from the film. I made his clothing, actually. I was afraid of the unknowns. I was afraid of who or what I was. I was actually afraid of God, afraid of hell, afraid of being alone, afraid of fitting in, afraid of anyone knowing what I was, and especially I was really afraid of telling the truth. Behind that was another emotion, disgust. As I learned more about my thoughts and feelings, I also learned through the church to be disgusted by the idea of homosexuality, by the acts that one may be doing, pornography, masturbation, etc. I was disgusted with myself. Often another emotion comes up, anger. I also made his clothes. I never really felt anger toward the church, particularly, though I know many rightfully have and do. The anger I felt was toward myself for constantly failing and never being good enough. We shouldn't have to feel this way. There's also anger toward God and anger toward unfairness of one's situation. I'm pretty optimistic. I'm a very optimistic person in general, and I have a hard time showing anger. Sometimes I wonder if I held back and I maybe should have felt more. Did I gloss over that and push it away? I don't know. Another major emotion I felt was sadness. I think we've all felt that. Especially the sadness of the potential loss of family, loss of promises, loss of eternities, loss of friends, and loss of self. Obviously, I felt it strongly the day I came out, when my boyfriend broke up with me. But occasionally, we get to bring in some joy, and we feel that. For me, joy was the moment I realized what it meant to be genuine and to live genuinely. I, of course, felt it in other times of my life, being in my actual, but in my actual coming out journey, it was really the day I came out. After all those years of hiding and lying, to finally have all that weight be lifted, it's one of my favorite parts of being gay, that I was able to go through that, and it's exactly what I feel baptism should feel like. But every story has a different path, everybody has a different path, and emotions are different, and they don't all happen in this order. But they're ever present, and they play a diverse part in our lives. Our emotions are our journey, they're the daily thoughts and feelings.
In my case, my quest as a gay Mormon boy
was to find the fleeting happiness I felt as a young child. As joyful as I was when I came out, I knew I was only starting my journey. To me, joy is not happiness. Happiness, I think, is the experience of joy, contentment, or positive well-being, combined with the sense that one's life is good, meaningful, and worthwhile. I'm not there yet, but I began feeling happiness when I started realizing that all these emotions are important, all mixed together. Use anger to make change. Use your sadness to better understand what joy is. And push the extent of your emotions and realize that they make up who we are. Embrace them and realize, as LGBTQ individuals and allies, that we are proud. And we're proud of who we are. It has taken me many years and probably way too long to get here, but I'm so proud of who I am. Where I came from, the religion I came from, the family I came from, and I'm so proud that I am gay, and I wouldn't change it for anything. I love it. Also proud of my family. Took a long time to undo the many years of belief that I wouldn't ever have a family. Yet here I am, right in the middle of definitely the hardest thing I've ever done. But it brings me joy, and I feel like I'm on the rainbow bridge to happiness. I hope my story can help someone here on their own journey. Thank you.
Bien, queremos agradecerles a ustedes por su participación esta mañana.
We would like to thank all of those who participated this morning.
Bien, ahora vamos a tener un himno de cierre, vamos a mirarlo en pantalla. Todo lo que necesitas es amor.
So now we will have a closing hymn. The words will be shown in the screens, and it's called All We Need Is Love.
Y la reflexión final estará a cargo de Ron Shawn.
And the final reflection will be given by Ron
Shawn.
Scowl.
Ok, gracias.
Everybody stand up and get your air tambourines ready. Right here, right there. All right? This is a hymn in some places. This is a hymn in some places, Rich.
I'm Ron Scow. I'm a member of the Affirmation Board of Directors, and I've been asked to offer some thoughts for reflection to end this session. Love is at the very center, at the very heart of what we're doing at this conference. We're concerned with questions like, who do we fall in love with? And what do we do about that when we fall in love? And sometimes, what do we do when one we have loved is no longer with us? So I'm going to read to you from one of my favorite authors a few words about love. His name is Thomas More, and he's a therapist, and this is from his book, Care of the Soul. Love is a kind of madness, Plato said, a divine madness. Today, we talk about love as though it were primarily an aspect of relationship, and also, to a great degree, as if it were something within our control. We're concerned about how to do it right, how to make it successful, how to overcome its problems, and how to survive its failures. Many of the problems people bring to therapy involve the high expectations and the rock-bottom experiences of love. It is clear that love is never simple, that it brings with it struggles of the past and hopes for the future, and that it is loaded with material that may be connected to the person who is the apparent object of love.